Now we're going to put the buttonholes into our dungies, and I've chosen two buttons here. They have a diameter of 2 centimeters, and I'm going to mark exactly where the little two holes are going to sit through which I'm going to sew them on. I do that on both sides, and that way I know exactly the direction that my buttonholes have to go. It's actually really important that you just put it on, then place both on top of each other, and you will see if you've done it right or whether you need to adjust them, of course, and that will bring the button in the right position. My button has a diameter of 2 centimeters, so I was a bit worried that maybe it's a little bit big, that buttonhole, for that width, but I'm also making the newborn size, so the higher up you get, the less that will be an issue. And you need to now mark from the side where the buttonhole needs to stop and end, and so you get a good idea. So for me, in this case, I made my buttonhole slightly smaller. If you have put that extra little bit of interfacing on for woven fabric, just where the buttonhole is, you probably will fare a little bit better. Mine did stretch a little bit, and you can see that afterwards. So for now, I'm marking it on both sides, and I'm making it exactly the size of my button. And then I can go over and sort it all out on my sewing machine. I have a fast sewing machine. I put my foot on, and then the first thing is to change the width of your stitch to 5. That's the zigzag stitch. Then you put the length onto your buttonhole stitch, and you do the same with your tension, and that is the same on all sewing machines basically. Then I put my little dungies underneath there, and where I want to exactly start my buttonhole, because I've marked it with the pins, that's where I put the needle into the fabric, and then I can remove the pins because I now know where it needs to go. Just don't move anything, and I can put my buttonhole in. So now I'm going to line up the 2 centimeter mark. That is the fourth red one on the left and that little red arrow, and I press down the C button, and then I'm going to do the first bar all the way down. And when the little red arrow and the little marker on my foot line up, I stop and I press down the button B, and I do a little tag backwards and forwards, and that will secure the buttonhole that end. Then press down A and go back up the other bar. Now what will happen is it might get a little bit stuck, especially if you've got a mechanical machine, a cheaper machine. So I'm helping it out a bit. You can see that I'm trying to keep it straight and pulling it. Then press down the button B and hold it again until you've done the 2 tacks at the very end of your buttonhole, and that will finish your buttonhole. And now I can cut open my buttonhole. So you might want to use an embroidery scissor. I'm just using my big shears, but that might be a bit dangerous. And then I cut them open. Don't cut them open all the way to the end. You're working with knit fabric, and you do want to make sure that actually the button goes through really well. So in this case, it's actually a little bit loose, even though on a woven, like a jacket or something like that, it would have been the perfect width. So now I do the other side. I'm not going to cut it open all the way to the end. I'm going to leave a little bit, and then I'm going to see if I can get my button through, because the less I have to cut open, the better it will look. Pop my button through. Yup, just a little bit of tension, just perfect. Now I need to put the back strap forwards, and I need to now put my button onto that back strap. And although I've marked it here for the cam snap on the back and for the buttonhole on the front, so you've got your options, what I would do is just put it on your child and see where it needs to go, because I made those back straps a little bit longer so that they last a bit longer, because kids tend to not get necessarily wider, they grow taller, so you might have 2 sizes in this one. So what you want to do then is to put it to the size that's adequate for your child. It's quite an overlap here, quite nice. And then you take a double thread with a knot at the end, and we're going to go right central down in that buttonhole to put our button on. There we go. So I found my spot there, and I first secure it. Now, one thing I have to say is that when you put buttons on for very small children, you need to be very, very careful if they're playing with the buttons. It might be an idea to put another button underneath, Or if you do use a button, then put it on very, very securely. So none of this going through twice. You need to go through at least 5 times to make sure this will not come off, right? And if you have an underneath button, you know, like one of those tiny little ones, even better. Put your thumb in the way so that the button has a little bit of height. When we've gone through the last time, we can then wiggle around the thread coming from the top and moving downwards so that we've almost got like a little stem, like a little mushroom. That's what you want. Then I'm going to make a loop and secure my thread, and that way it won't come off. That's on really, really well. On the other side, I'm going to do the same. How do I know that I'm putting it in exactly the same place? What you want to do is unbutton it again, and then we're going to put the back on top of each other here, and then roll back the side that I haven't done yet. That will give me the perfect position for my button. Come through to the front, and I'm sewing that one on as well. And now I've done my little Dungies. I hope you're really proud. I think they look absolutely spiffing. And if you want to put cam snaps on, well, of course, most of you know how to do that, and you can find that in the ebook. And here you can see again that lovely turn up. It's so nice and so simple, and you've done it. Yay! Of course, also the little pocket for the little hands. Children love pockets, so it's a really nice thing to make. It should only take you 30 to 40 minutes to make one of those, and I hope to see you soon again. Thank you for being part of our sewing course. Bye for now.